Hey guys and girls, I'm TG Sly Guy here with another Magic the Gathering deck tech for the Amonkhet Season of Standard. First, just a quick update. I took my green white tokens deck to F&M last week and I went 2-for-1, or 2-1. The third round was a very close matchup. I lost in 3 games to a Jeskai control deck that had Brazella as the finishing win con. And Brazella was very hard for that deck to deal with. I managed to remove it once with a Johnny, but he got it out a second time, and I just couldn't get it done in the game 3. The deck performed really well. It's extremely explosive. I recommend it to anyone who likes to play aggressive strategies, go wide strategies. It was very fun. Strem's expertise is just phenomenal in that deck. Very, very good. But moving on, I have gotten my hands on more Amonkhet cards that I really wanted to try out. So this is a deck that I threw together. I haven't had a chance to take it to an event yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I've playtested with a couple of friends of mine, and if I've learned anything from this deck, it is that Glorybringer is broken good, and it is fantastic. And there's a few synergies in the deck that I will explain as we go along. It's a Temur deck, so without further ado, we'll get started with the lands. Starting off, we have 3 Game Trail, 2 Cinderglade, 2 Sheltered Thicket, 1 Spirebluff Canal, 1 Botanical Sanctum, 2 Evolving Wilds, a full play set of Aether Hub, 4 Forests, 3 Mountain, and finally 1 Swamp, 1 Island for a total of 23 lands. This is a mid-range strategy, a mid-range build. Starting off with these spells, we have 2 Magma Spray. It's just good 1 mana removal. If your opponent is able to get a couple of creatures out before you can get a Board Presence, it's just nice to have the 1 mana removal. And also it exiles, so it's relevant against Scrapheap Scrounger, which can be pesky. 3 Blossoming Defense for creature protection. 4 Soulscar Mage. This is the first card out of the new set. Really, really good in my opinion. It just not only the stats are good as a 1/2, it's a 1-drop, 1 for 1 red. It's a 1/2 prowess, and if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters onto it instead. So it turns all of your removal, like your Magma Sprays and your Harness Lightnings, it turns them all into combat tricks basically, because it lowers their power as well. So, for instance, your opponent could swing into this guy with a 4/4, and you block with Soulscar Mage and cast Magma Spray on their creature dies in combat, because this will get Prowess trigger and become a 2/3, and their 4/4 will now be a 2/2, so it just dies in combat. Super good. It's also very good against the gods, the god cards. A couple of people, this deck also, I run Ronus as a god, and anybody running the green god or the white god, I haven't seen any of the other gods yet, but it's a super good card for playing against gods. And it also synergizes remarkably well with Glorybringer, because Glorybringer deals 4 points of non-combat damage when it's exerted. Super, super good card for a 1-drop. I highly recommend this guy. He's a full playset. Next up, we have 3 Servant of the Conduit for mana fixing, and a little bit of ramp. Next up, a full play set of Harness Lightning. It's just a premier creature removal spell. And next, we have a playset of Sylvan Advocate. Just a good value creature, good late game. And Vigilance is relevant in this deck, as I will explain right now, with Rishkar. Because Rishkar ramps, puts 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, and those creatures can all tap for green if they have counters. So all creatures you control with counters on them can become mana dorks, and if they have Vigilance, that's just more value, because you can swing in and then second main phase use them as mana dorks. So Sylvan Advocate is relevant because it has Vigilance, and it's also a good value creature regardless. So 2 Rishkars, 2 Ronus, the best god in my opinion. He's probably the easiest god to activate, other than maybe the red god, because in like a red strategy, quite often your hand is near empty. But yeah, he's a 5/5 Death Touch indestructible for 3 mana, 2 green, 2 colors and 1 green, and he can't attack or block unless you control a creature with power 4 or greater. And for 2 and a green, he can give another target creature +2/+0 and trample on a turn. So he can quite easily turn, a Servant of the Conduit or Sylvan Advocate early game, or a Rishkar into a creature that turns him on. He is a 2/of. Next up, we have 1/of Saheeli Rai. She is in here basically for her -2. Her +1 could help us dig for our bombs, but she's basically here to synergize with her -2 ability. Next up, we have a 1/of Kha'Zix Return. These were on the sideboard. This deck isn't completely tuned. It's still a little rough around the edges. I need to do a little bit more play testing to try a few different things out. The 3 slot in particular. These were on the sideboard. I decided to put one in the main board just because it synergizes so well with Soulscar Mage. If I'm facing like a humans deck or a black-red aggro or a mono-black aggro, it's just super good. Because not only does Soulscar and Sylvan Advocate survive, but or Rishkar with a counter on him would survive. If I have my Soulscar Mage out, it just nerfs my opponent's entire board. It might not kill all of the things right away, but chances are, if I'm doing trades in combat, it'll definitely turn the tide in my favor, because it'll just put -2, 2 -1/-1 counters on all their creatures. So yeah, I'm trying it as a 1/of in the main board right now. Another card you could easily consider for the main board on your 3-drop slot would be Tireless Trackers, or even Rogue Refiners is a good value card. But for now, I'm running Rishkars and Kha'Zix Return, so we'll see how that goes. Moving on to the 4 slot, 2 Woodland Wanderers. Anybody who has seen some of my previous videos knows how much I love this card. It's just value city. Pretty much always comes out as a 5/5 Vigilance Trample for 4 mana. Sometimes even a 6/6 if I have my Aether Hubs or my Servants of the Conduits out, which I often do. And also, as I stated earlier, the Vigilance ability is very relevant with Rishkar, because he's going to come out with counters on him and he has Vigilance, so he can become a Mana Dork second main. So yeah, a very good card. He's a 2/of. Next up, 2 Kiora Master of the Depths. This is a card that doesn't see a whole lot of play constructed, but in this deck it has some really good synergies with Glorybringer. I'm able to exert Glorybringer, and then second main I can use her +1 to untap him. So that's the main reason why she's in this deck. I would potentially consider maybe knock her down to a 1/of if I had a 3rd Arlinn Kord, because Arlinn Kord is even better. But I only actually have 2 Arlinn Kords right now. But moving on to the next card, Arlinn Kord. Arlinn Kord with Glorybringer is just disgusting. Giving Glorybringer Vigilance and +2/+2, and being able to swing in exerted without tapping, she's just so good with Glorybringer. I can't understate the synergy between her and Glorybringer enough. You could easily just actually cut the Kioras and the Saheelis and just go straight green-red. But I don't have enough Arlinn Kord, so I figured if I don't have an Arlinn Kord, the next best Planeswalker I could use for Glorybringer synergy would be Kiora. So we're trying Temur, and there's so many lands in Standard right now because it's so huge that it's really not much of it. It's not even a strain on the mana rate, really. It's not. So, yep. 2 of Arlinn Kords. Next up, we have 3 Glorybringers. I only have 3. If I had 4, I'd play 4 in a heartbeat. I kind of considered splurging and getting a 4th one, but the game day promo is going to be Glorybringer, so I'm banking on getting my 4th one then. So Glorybringer, it's the new card. For 3 colors, 2 red, it's a 4/4 flying haste, and when it attacks, you can exert him, and if you exert him, he deals 4 damage to target creature, non-dragon creature, an opponent controls. So yeah, if he's exerted, he doesn't untap in your next tap step. But between Arlinn Kord and Kiora, it's just, I usually have a way to untap him or give him Vigilance. Super good. Just really my favorite card from the new set, 100%. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of this guy in Standard in the coming months. Excuse me. He's just a really, really good card. And then finally finishing off the main board, 2 Verter Gear Hulks. Just, again, it's a super value creature. Makes all my guys bigger, has trample. Just a big beater, big bomb finisher. So that's it for the main board. And then, moving on to the sideboard, we have 1 Traveler's Tracker. Good for against control. You can get some card advantage out of them. Next up, Tears of Valakut for any big flyers the opponents may have, including Glorybringer. Like I said, I expect to see a lot of him in Standard, so I want to have at least reliable sideboard answers for him. Also good against any other big flyers like Angels. I don't any flyers. I thought about having an Earth, which could potentially see my sideboard. I don't actually currently have any of them, but if you do, they would certainly they would slot right into any sideboard. It's just a good card. Next up, 2 Essence Scatter. Another reason why I wanted to keep the blue in this deck is because it gives me access to counter spells in the sideboard. So I have 2 Essence Scatter, counter target creature spell, and 2 negates. They're just quality sideboard answers against basically any opponent. We have a second Kozilek's Return in the sideboard for any go white strategies. Same goes for Radiant Flames, 2 Radiant Flames. 2 Appetite for the Unnatural for artifacts and enchantments. 1 Release the Gremlins for artifacts. And finally, 2 Heroic Intervention. Heroic Intervention is a good way to protect your creatures from removal and to protect your planeswalkers from removal. It's just quality 2 mana instant speed trick to protect your board. So yeah, that's it for the sideboard, and that's it for the deck. I'll post a quick update in my next video to let you know how this deck did. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.